Welcome to this grading policies presentation for Station Campus 2014-2015. As we begin the school year, we'd like to pose to you a question. What is the purpose of a grade? Well, we know that a grade can help us to better understand how much we have learned. But a grade can also help us to understand what we have not learned. Not yet, anyway. A grade is also a quick and easy reference for parents and teachers to understand how you're doing in school. We should also consider what grades should not be. Grades really shouldn't be your motivation. Your real motivation in school should be learning and growing as a person. Grades just measure that growth. Grades shouldn't be confusing either. If you don't understand why you're getting the grades that you're getting, you should work in tandem with your teacher to get a better understanding of how you can get the grades that you want. Grades also should not be inaccurate. Grades can be skewed sometimes because of nerves, misunderstandings, or even being unprepared. But learning should continue, and your growth should be measured again. Some students wonder, what are the different types of grades? As teachers, we talk about two types of grades, formative and summative assessments or grades. Formative grades are basically practice. These grades won't have a huge impact on your total grade, but if you don't do very well on these practice formative assessments, you probably won't do very well on the final summative assessments, tests, papers, and projects. Remember, everything you do in class is meant to prepare you for those final summative assessments. So what is a summative assessment? Put simply, a summative assessment is just a final measure of your learning. Usually it comes at the end of a unit. Units can run a couple of weeks or even several weeks. When you think of a summative, think of it kind of like a sports game or a performance. You might spend a lot of time practicing for the summative in preparation for a final deadline, like you would for a game or a concert. When the time comes for the final summative assessment, students are able to perform, showing knowledge and skills all by themselves. Most students should expect to succeed on the summative assessments the first time around, as long as they've worked, practiced, and studied with the teacher, just like you would with a coach. So what if I don't do well on a summative? Well, sometimes students do get D's or even F's on summative assessments. Typically, students will have noticed that they were getting low scores on practice, that formative work, and the score is not a surprise. Other times, however, a low score can come as a total surprise. That can happen if students are nervous, confused on a test, or just make silly mistakes on the summative. The good news is, students who get D's and F's at station on those summatives will be encouraged by their teacher to redo the summative. Well, how does a retake work? Well, like I said, if you get a D or an F on a summative, you'll be encouraged and coached by your teacher to retake the assessment. Retakes typically need to be done within a week of the final score. Within a day or two, you'll be working on what's called an alternate learning plan. This is a worksheet or a form which helps you to design a plan that will ensure that you'll be ready for the second attempt. When you finish your alternate learning plan, your teacher will look it over and approve it, sometimes asking you questions to make sure that it's a strong plan. We also have a drop-in retake plan advisory at each grade level where you can go to get help with your plan if you're having a hard time. You can also look for advice straight from your teacher. Remember, retake grades will replace the grade that you originally received on your summative assessment. So some of you might be wondering, why don't you just take every test over again? Well, the retake will not be the exact same assessment. It might be completely different, in fact, so taking it twice in a row without studying again really probably won't help your grade. Also, if students retake more than a couple of summatives in a given year, teachers will be contacting your parents for a conference to figure out why. And also remember, students are responsible for all current work while studying for the second assessment. That means you could be in for a little bit of a long week and some extra work while staying current on stuff from your classes and getting prepared for the second assessment. Keep in mind, all your preparation should be done outside of the school day so that you don't get behind on new stuff. Another question is, what if you get a 0? Well, scores of 0 at station on summative assessments will not be accepted. Because those scores are our only way to know what you can do, we don't let you opt out of doing the big things. Taking zeros on practice is also a very bad idea because it's vital to your preparation for the summative assessment, so don't skip on the practice. If you don't do a final summative paper or project, you might even be given disciplinary consequences. That could mean spending extra time after school or even on Saturdays to catch up on missing work. So what do responsible students do? Successful students at station make a sincere attempt to do well on the first assessment. These students also use retakes, sometimes under special circumstances, but not with regularity. Successful students do all the practice work with a high level of quality. Successful station students often reflect on their successes as well as their failures. When doing a retake, successful students work extra hard to keep up with current work while catching up on other work. They know that their alternate learning plan alone won't work until they put in the time and the effort to make it work. So as we start the new school year, please consider a couple of words of wisdom. Concentrate on meeting your deadlines. Be sure that you fully understand the expectations for each unit before you start doing the practice. Take an active interest in what you are learning rather than just working for the grade. Remember, if you fail the first time, make it right by preparing with vigor the second time. And as always, do work that you, your parents, and your teachers can all be proud of. We hope that this presentation has helped you understand our grading policies for the 2014 and 15 school year at Station. Welcome back and have a great year.